mechanical engineer. Professor Vinesh has an illustrious career spanning over 27 years in engineering education, information and communication technology, operations and maintenance, and project management. He has contributed to the international projects across the United States, United Kingdom, Middle East, and Asia, leading groundbreaking innovations in sustainable technology, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and more. To introduce Dr. Vinesh formally, I would like to invite Dr. Mohammad Ghaneeb, Chair of Institution of Mechanical Engineers for Middle East and Africa and Pakistan Power Center, to the stage. Please give him a few round of applause.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Dr. Vinesh has already been introduced, so I will just say a couple of things quickly. First of all, this alumni that I studied from many years ago. I think it's great to be back here and see that things are moving forward in the right direction. To have this chapter established in 1 year and making good strides, uh, to actually be able to participate in software competition that actually is great for yourselves, for the experience that all of you will gain. I think that is the testimony to the things that you are aspiring towards. I think I will now invite Dr. Vinesh, who is chairman of International Strategy Board and has vast experience already alluded to by my colleague. And his topic is very important to us. I belonging to power industry. I'm looking forward to this talk, and I'm sure that a number of others who are from other industries, the topic will be as relevant. Please give a big round of applause to Dr. Vinesh Thiruchelvam.
Right. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. Thank you for coming to campus this morning. Yeah, everyone. I know how everyone loves to study from home. That's a new trend. Let me get the official part out first. So I want to send my appreciation and a big thank you to UET for hosting this event. And the senior officials. So I'm going to get the names right. I will. Yeah, so that's Professor Moin. Thank you for a very kind introduction. Talked so much about AI, I don't have to talk anymore. Thank you. Then there is Professor Asim, who has been a mainstay in continuing the strong presence of IMechE via the student chapter of at UET. Thank you, Professor Asim, for your support. Thank you to Professor Azad, who is the chairman, and I had a good tea session this morning with him. And then there is, of course, the dean, whom I just met, Dr. Dr. Tausif, and we have much to talk about later today as well. Thank you for hosting this. Uh, I had a very warm welcome yesterday. It's my third time to Pakistan. I've been twice to Karachi, but I've never been to Lahore. And I had two individuals welcome me. Even though in the cold weather, it's very cold for me because I come from about 34 to 35 degrees. So 13 degrees, 14 degrees, it's relatively cold up in the mountains in Malaysia. So thank you to Mr. Hassan Ansari and Dr. Muhammad Munib for welcoming me yesterday and for making this happen because this is something which we planned 6 months ago and it's actually happened. So let me carry on with my talk. But before that, I want to give a bit of kudos to the student chapter. Yeah, what you presented just now, doing the CPR training. That's very good. Not many people do that. No? And then when things happen, what do we do? So that training on CPR is perfect. But what you did in terms of planting trees in your ECAT project, brilliant. 250 trees equals to about 6,250 kilograms of absorption of the CO2. So give us all a big hand. I love all the student chapters because I'm academic as a day job. I'm an academic. I'll share with you my history. Students want to be so highly ranked. So having a cabinet within your student chapter, fantastic. All directors, fantastic. Because you never know when you're going to become a cabinet member or director in the coming future. Maybe never. So at least at student tertiary level, you're already a cabinet member and a director. Yeah. Okay, on with the topic. I am the current International Strategy Board Chairman for IMechE. There are 23,000 international members outside the UK. We are about 26% of the entire IMechE population for the institution. So we are a very important voice. And coming down to Pakistan is also being with the members, as what I was last night, tonight, and the day, and tomorrow as well. So I've written a lot, but just in snippets. Yeah, I've worked in many countries. I'm not that old, neither am I that young, but I've been lucky enough to work in 18 countries, including my home Malaysia. And people say, how can you work so many years in this 27, 28 years? Well, I go 6 months, I work there, I study there, what to do, I implement projects, and I come back. So I've been around the world. I worked with many different types of characters in different weather conditions on different projects. And that allowed me to understand one, engineering against different geographical locations, different governments, yeah, and different people in terms of resources to work with. That allowed me to progress in understanding to the ground how to work with a better mindset. In Malaysia, I'm linked to many ministry developments in terms of task force blueprints. So in the last 10 years, I moved from a total engineer because I used to be head of engineering, right? So when we deliver, we have to understand structures, mechanical, electrical, electronics, whatnot. But I also moved into the emerging technologies front, which is very important because emerging technologies will determine how whatever you engineer will work, right, in the coming future. It's already happening. So I've been with many. One of my biggest ones was actually with the Ministry of Environment and Water. It was at that time in 2021 known as CASA. Today it's got a different name. It's known as Petra, I think. And whereby we developed the climate change hub in Malaysia, where we wanted to have a goal of a net zero, right? So why all this climate change noise and chaos? It actually starts with a very fundamental reason of population growth. So if you see the chart up there, you see 2020, we are close to 8 billion. And we slowly move on, and it is increasing as we speak. So today, and these figures are plus minus, yeah, when you see different websites and different statistical information that you get. In 2025, as we speak, this year we're supposed to cross 9 million, right? And as you can see, the incremental percentage per year. But again, post 2025 is supposed to slow down again. But the scary part is in in about 10 years from now, we will go towards 10.5 billion. And that's a lot of people on this planet. Yeah, a lot of people. I was told last night, and correct me everyone, whether this statistics is correct. Lahore has now become the largest populated city in Pakistan. You're going to cheer for that? If you're going to cheer for that, that might be a problem because you know why? Having a heavy dense city is quite difficult to manage and a challenge to maintain the with regards to the environment. Yeah, anything that is circling around the environment. So it's a good problem to have, or is it a bad problem to have? You will decide in the coming years when you've already gone past 20 million. So climate change impacts, it is already there. I'll give you some latest stats. So July 22nd, 2024 last year was the warmest day ever recorded. In 2023, they took the temperature across the year of 365 days. It was the warmest year ever. And the warmest year recorded since the last, which was 10 years ago, right? And you can see the latest things that have been happening in terms of natural disasters. So you've heard about the LA fires, which were horrendous in the Hollywood area. And then you can see fantastic because of not because of urbanization, because of manufacturing and the oil and gas industry, a lot of environmental disasters are happening, and that is quite scary because of the impacts of it. Now, what is also scary is the wars that happen. So the war that is happening in Gaza, the war that is happening in Ukraine. This also creates a lot of disturbance to the environment. But the Arctic, which is everyone thinks it's all icebergs and really, really cold, those icebergs are also melting, and that is very scary, as can be seen when you see a lot of documentaries and live coverage of footage of those icebergs melting, and that is a reality that is happening out there. Now, all of this is climate change impacts. Now, if I take Pakistan, for example, in 2024, you had a natural disaster, right? You had floods that actually impacted Balochistan, Sindh, and Punjab. Right? I was reading it and I saw that 19 million people were displaced. And why do we have floods? Of course, of rain. But when you have rain, the push out of the rainwater, if you have enough rains and planning towards stormwater discharge, you should be fine. But then when floods get too rapid, they start raining over a longer period and the rain is hard. Your design for the city in terms of stormwater may not fit in, right? And then also a lot of these drainage systems are all clogged with sand, debris, rubbish. And that comes with urbanization of people, all right? So that's a scary thought that one has to think about in terms of city development, especially with you reaching 20 million now. The other impacts are also coming from the destruction of marine ecosystem. So when you have oil leaks, so when you have the oil and gas industry, oil is still a very high in demand. So oil rigs will always be there, oil companies will always be drilling, yeah? But each drill, when it's not done properly, or tankers that leak along the way, then you have oil leaks that actually destroy marine life. So the Gulf of Mexico is a very good example where oil leaks happen almost all the time, yeah? And then deforestation. So when you have developers pushing hard to serve new development, whether it's commercial, residential, it doesn't matter. Deforestation happens, and that's also a large impact. Yeah, and that's not my fault. All right. Okay. So it is. These are things that are very important and pertinent towards the climate change. Now, this is now an inspiration for a lot of countries. They want to get into the smart city game. Every city has now almost got a blueprint. I'm sure Lahore has also got a blueprint to go into a smart city development. Okay, but in 2019, what started was actually a lot of nation making in terms of piloting the drive towards becoming a smart city. And I talked about this not only uh, from the context of cities that I've worked in, but also from where I am from, which is Kuala Lumpur, and what they are doing in terms of the blueprint which has been set for KL to become a smart city. So Malaysia was supposed to be a smart nation by 2020. Then we changed leadership, and the new leader said, no, we'll never achieve 2050. Let's just ramp it up 30 years and make it 2050. And you say, we told the government, oh, very smart, yeah. You said 2020 and now you push it to 2050. You're safe. And so now we're sticking to 2050. And what is happening right now is a rebalancing of the entire ecosystem, which allows for a data-driven economy. It allows for cities to go into public-private partnerships and also to build that ecosystem which is automated, having AI as a presence. So AI now has become a large enabler in automating processes, yeah, making things faster and more productive. What you will see in the next 5 years is actually more collaboration between stakeholders, more open source, so sharing of data, and lastly, we go towards a direction of carbon neutral. Because a lot of nations are using 2040, 2020, 2045, and 2050 to move towards a net zero country. It's a tough one to do, but that's their wish and desire. Right. So the 5 pillars of a smart city ecosystem are very simple. It starts with the circular economy. I was in discussion with another Mr. Hassan Ansari last night, and he gave me an insight towards the paper production and what he was doing. And it's very interesting because I also learned a thing or two. I heard about it, but I never knew about it. That paper now doesn't actually have to come directly from tree bulks or from any deforestation. Yeah, it can come from recycled paper, and that's a brilliant thing that he is doing. There's commercial value to it. It's part of a circular economy, as an example, but also citizen governance. So a lot of people are now having their own view, their own say, and social media is helping. But policies are also there, out there for review before they actually get deployed, and that's very good. Third is the sharing of resources. So now with cloud usages and things like that, people are allowed to share, and social media is another advocate for that. Inclusiveness is very important. So the DEI strategy is pushing forward diversity, inclusivity, yeah, and quality. Lastly, open platforms. So there are a lot of tools out there that people can use and produce faster. And lastly, collective intelligence, which will come together when people share knowledge. When you share knowledge, things can be corrected faster, things can develop faster, and that's very important. So I'll just throw in my university and how I started when I moved from industry. After spending 15 years in industry, I moved into academia. I brought that value of what I learned in the industry, and we set up this whole IR 4.0 revolution, industrial revolution, but we also call it the evolution of campus, how to transform the campus from a business perspective digitally. So allowing our stakeholders, which are the students, the academic team, the administrative team, parents, sponsors, and the governance, which is the Ministry of Higher Education, to allow them to come into the university together with industry players as well, and see what we have developed to sort of show them how we have digitally transformed. So we set up all these centers, which are center of excellences and research centers and innovation centers, to put forward emerging technologies, either as a topic to learn in the curriculum, topic to develop as a project, or set up an infrastructure that we have. So the first thing we did in 2019, just before the pandemic, was to create the first super app for the university. So now the students have a super app where a simple thing like when will the bus arrive and where is the location of our bus, the university bus, is on the app. Yes, and of course many other things in terms of learning. Now we are developing what we would call the, the smart assistant for students. Now the smart assistant is there in many facets of the industry, but there has not been enough smart assistants for students. So that alone will help incorporate AI application into the campus. Now, AI, as mentioned by Dr. Nguyen just now, it has a lot of positive impacts. Yeah, you will see ChatGPT and how it has impacted not only education but real life in general. But now that has also got an evolution in deep sea. So AI is here to stay. It is how we use it and we use it positively. Is how we take it forward. So AI will help you to predict, optimize, and simulate. So these are the four functions of AI. It basically makes computing power together with real-time data allows you to perform tasks right accordingly to how it was specified to be. And that task will also be a bit complex. Yeah. So there are more and more AI being applied in all kinds of industries, and I'll share with you how it is being applied. So in the power sector, which is quite a big sector, naughty sector, yeah, 25% of greenhouse gases are actually coming out from the power sector. So it is very important for the power sector to decarbonize. And AI can help it decarbonize in a way, which is basically in things like dynamic line rating. So if you know dynamic line rating, uh, in a transmission line, from one hub to another hub, there is always open space. Yeah, they will clear the land normally, but sometimes there is growth, vegetation, there's growth of trees, for example, and this can impact the transmission capacity. So taking drone images and capturing the amount of growth in the pathway of the transmission line helps us to study the capacity disturbance that has been put forward. Of course, AI can also help you with all the algorithms to predict failure, and that's also there, predict demand, and also now we are using AI to basically simulate virtual power plants. Because building a power plant is a lot of money, it takes a lot of time, but if you can simulate it on a virtual platform, it will be better. So these are things that are being integrated with AI, but with AI also comes the whole story of how secure is your AI being deployed. Because the power sector is something you cannot have shut down, right? So how secure is it? Cybersecurity is another element that has been thrown into the power sector. Food security. So food security is interesting because it covers again another 30% of the global greenhouse gas emission. You can't run with food. We just spoke about Lahore becoming 20 million. It means that you've got to feed 20 million people. And when you have natural disasters, again, you've got to send emergency food. So how do you serve the demand for to meet food security? Now AI can do that in many ways. What we have created, I worked on a project before. It's called Pest Killer Bot. So Pest Killer Bot was an AI tool that basically tracked all the pests in a large plantation area, and we mapped out the pest viral movement into the plantation area. So once we got rid of that pest, right? It's insects basically, flying insects. We could then map out a strategy of future pests that will go and attack the plantation. So then again, we use an AI application. But Further to that, we have also developed using the WorldNet. The WorldNet is a Korean tool to do simulation of seeding and third ground for plantation, new plantations. Yeah? So that you don't just go and do seeding and wait. You can test the soil, you can test the thickness, the pH, the depth, the tilt that's required, the sun that's where it faces and all that. So we simulated using this Vernex software, and we built a robot. You know what a robot is? A small robot. Yeah, we built a 6-axis robot to do that simulation, and then we actually use VR glasses to have a look at the simulation that was carried out. So this is something never done in agriculture. Agriculture is a very conventional industry, but now with technology being deployed, farmers can use this technology to actually appreciate that they can actually do a trial run before in a simulated way before they can actually go to the field. There is an agriculture hub that we are building now for the European nation, which is in this hub. We are planting 5 different types of vegetables, but this hub will run on its own. It's fully automated. There's got many drones to monitor growth. It has got enough IoT and sensing to check on the pH levels for the soil, the intensity of the UV lights, and we are using AI to also implement data capture into the dashboard. So I could be with my mobile phone at home and I can monitor this hub. This hub is almost 50% ready, and we hope to partner others in this hub as well. But then again, data that we capture from all these sensors is also important because the other thing about farming, it is the release of this NOx and SOx kind of emissions, which is important because it will relate to maximizing your crop yield. Yeah? So what I just told you just now in terms of agriculture hub is actually a control farm. So in manufacturing, again, a very interesting area as well. 1/3 of the the greenhouse gases actually come from manufacturing. It is tough to get rid of manufacturing because manufacturing is where products come out from. But decarbonizing is now being appreciated by a lot of manufacturing firms because of the drive towards ESG. ESG is environment, social, and governance. And in some countries, I can say for Malaysia, for example, ESG measurement is correlated to your credit rating. One. Second, that credit rating will determine your, when you go to the main stock market, if you want to list your company, those are one of the criteria. New criteria that come out. Okay. So in the area of decarbonization in manufacturing, material engineering comes into place as well. New materials which are more sustainable, yeah, and how they will be used in terms of being green manufacturers, so that they can get their product endorsed by the green institutions. So locally, we have a green index. For example, in Malaysia, I can talk about Malaysia. We have a green index, and if you have the label of the green index on your product, that means your product has gone through the certification process in order to become a green product. So the other quite popular green products nowadays are mostly in the electrical products like a fridge, cooker, kettle. Those are quite popular around the world. But now we're going further. Yeah. Transportation. So transportation is interesting. It contributes to about 12%, and a lot of AI is being used, especially in EVs. We in Malaysia we produced our first EV car. It's called EMAS. Interesting enough, by our #1 car manufacturer called Proton. But as you can see in China, I was in China last year, and I went to a city called Huiyang. You have never heard of the city. I never heard of it also before going. But I went there. The city is about 4.5 million people, and I was shocked. There was only one petrol station for 4.5 million people, and the petrol station was very near the airport because it was more. Petrol station was mainly supporting lorries and trucks, and that too on diesel rather than petrol. Everyone there was on a electrical car. The buses were electrical. They even had bikes, 250cc bikes, up to 250cc bikes, which were electrical, which was very interesting to me because they sounded like normal bikes, which is a very interesting fact because then it becomes likable. And the EV industry is booming thanks to many private players, and that EV is got a lot of AI in it because it is a smart car, not only an electrical vehicle. We're looking at alternative fuels. There's a study now I'm involved with using hydrogen with UK, and we're seeing how hydrogen can be deployed for the palm oil industry because Malaysia is quite popular for palm oil. So there's a massive shift happening in terms of transportation. But AI alone can help you with as your population grows, your transportation will have to grow, and you have to provide rapid transportation because there'll be a high flow of traffic moving from point A to point B, and that's very important in traffic management in terms of route optimization, the signaling for railways, and how you want to maintain all the trains, the cars, and all that. This whole thing, this whole system, this whole ecosystem has got a lot of AI in it. I worked on a project some years ago, and we were called by the Maldives. You all know where the Maldives is? Yeah, should know. The Maldives. What is Maldives' number one? Number one and number two economic driver. The first one is tourism. Yeah, everyone loves the atolls and the chalets and the resorts. But their number two is actually tuna fish. Yeah. So tuna is a big industry there, and it's how big. I'll tell you. I went twice, 10 days, 10 days. I ate tuna in the morning, I ate tuna in the afternoon, I ate tuna at night. That's how big tuna is there, because they don't have any chickens or lamb. They're too small. But the tuna industry is an export for them, and the fishermen would go out twice a year, twice a day. Sorry, twice a day. They would spend a lot on fuel, and they will spend. They are very conventional, so they sort of target zones, but they cannot cover the zones and optimize their fuel usage because they go out twice a day. Then the whole canning industry, where the tuna comes back, chop it up and you can it, that has got a disturbance because they work longer hours. So they actually work, the canning industry works 24 hours. So we were contacted by the Ministry of Transport, just one KPI, reduce my fuel, because Maldives does not produce any fuel. They have two islands as bunkering. So bringing in fuel, and the fuel usage is very high. They actually take the fuel from India and things like that. So we went in, we studied the entire flow of boats going out into sea. We mapped out the hot zones for where the tuna were being traditionally fished from. We mapped out the time, the areas, came back, we correlated to the canning industry and how productive they were, and we gave an entire new solution using analytics. So the analytics that we used also included a bit of AI in terms of image processing for all the hot zones, the sea where they were fishing from. And we managed to bring down the fuel consumption by 26%, which was a very big thing for the government of Maldives. This was just before a change of leadership as well. But now they have different issues. They have Maldives is sinking, right, because of climate change. So they have an annual sink of close to 10 to 15 cm, and they predict that by 2050 they will be submerged. So they have another issue. So we're trying to look at ways how to get them out of that as well. I think it's evident, but we don't know for how long. Yeah. So in transportation, there's many things you can do in terms of traffic congestion in the city as well, and using AI for that matter. So in aviation is very interesting. Uh, Everyone loves to fly, but flying is the most ungreen, if I can use that word, or most non-sustainable action that we can do, because each time a plane flies, the amount of fuel that it consumes is very high. But there are a lot of things now done using AI in terms of studying fuel consumption and monitoring of the fuel. And AI is also being used in monitoring of the engines. So I was in the UK, and I think maybe Hassan or Munib will also know this. Somewhere in the Midlands, near Birmingham, there is the GE's office, General Electric. And in this General Electric office, they have an entire wall like this, and every single General Electric engine, which is flying, they have it all mapped out, and they know how the engine is functioning and the location of the plane using the GE engine. And this is using AI as a real time, because their main reason for AI is to tackle mean time before failure, MTBF. Because we cannot allow an engine to fail on a plane, isn't it? So that's a very important AI tool. But they are also doing this in terms of flight navigation, because nowadays there's a lot of turbulence. Because of climate change, planes were built not to tackle certain types of climatic conditions, especially where it's very mountainous. So AI tools would allow to address mechanical turbulence, and that's very important as well. And that allows you to reroute or optimize your route. Yeah? So aviation has also got a lot of AI being used. Construction, with the introduction of building information modeling, we can now do that. I'll just give you a very fast project. To tackle construction, we developed an AI tool to monitor hot works permit. So in certain large organizations, you will have to have a hot works permit to do welding, cutting, and we actually monitor whether the contractor on site will have that permit active. And then if it's not active, we can actually apprehend them. And this can be done remotely from anywhere in the world. So we actually use an AI tool to do this monitoring based on image processing from all the cameras around the plant area. Yeah. So I want to give you a complete AI solution that I worked on with some of my staff members, which is an AI-based disaster management system to tackle climate change, yeah, to increase the resilience. And the key components of AI for this entire package was to ensure that we had enough computer vision. So the computer vision was coming from drones that were capturing images, enough cognitive computing and high-powered computing to serve the purpose. Then the machine and deep learning to do all the smart results and decision making based on the data that was required in real time. And then, of course, the decision making is also based on certain very tight conditions. So we use neural networks. We build those algorithms. We train all the models. Yeah. Lastly, our drones were flying based on voice command. Voice command, tell them the direction. It determines the coordinates and it flies. And that's how smart the system was. So I'll give you a bit of insight of what it is. So they all like the Avengers, they like Iron Man. Yeah. So Tony Stark was a digital leader to our mind. And when we wanted to move forward, because we wanted to create a digital twin, and this digital twin will have its own personal assistant. So who is the personal assistant for Tony Stark? Jarvis, exactly. So we wanted a Jarvis, yeah. And I told you just now we are building a Jarvis for students, right? But it's not done yet because students are very complicated. They want this, they want that, they want this, they want that. Yeah, especially the new generation. But in terms of disaster management, we state what we want. So this global technology, the AI tool, is to address disaster management with three objectives. One is to ensure we can immediately respond. Two, there is communications going on in real time while we address the disaster. And it's self-sustenance, so it's self-driven. Yeah, we address SDG 11, 13. That's by given. But what does it actually do? It actually the drones go up as an immediate response. Yeah, it collects data, comes back. The data, which is real time, is straight away into a dashboard, and the visualization happens. So once the visualization happens, there is enough. There's about 6,000 trained models to help it make decisions on the actions, right? So this is a link of what's going on. So basically, what we have is the drone, right? So the drone takes off when there is an action given, either by voice command or by message. Yeah, it takes a first round of image, right? And the first round of image basically is to replicate digital twin. So do you know what digital twins are? So everything can be a twin. I can even twin this, I can twin the mic, and nowadays doing a digital twin allows you to do simulation, correction, and trial and errors. So in digital twins, we have four types of digital twins. We have a component. So it could be a chip, it could be a battery, yeah, and then a product. So the product would be a full product, yeah, and then we have the process. So for this, is the process is to click on it and for slides to run. And lastly, it is the system, the whole system to work. Sometimes you have one remote that controls everything, aircon, TV, blah blah blah. Yeah, and that whole digital twin addresses the component, the product, the system, the process, and the system. Yeah, these four things. So we have developed many digital twins. In the disaster part, it actually addresses the four areas. So we have now done 50-kilometer radius of an area, which is a small district. We have twinned the whole district. So once the images are captured, it comes back. There are two things that happen. The first thing is, of course, Firebase. So Firebase is something of a tool that we use for back-end cloud engineering because there's too much of data. So we need to push it to the cloud. So the Firebase helps us in the cloud, addressing the cloud, and it allows for hosting of the variances of data that we get and also the speed of the data that is coming in. It allows for integration of various applications as well. Because in cloud engineering, there are different types of applications that we use that at times don't talk to each other. So in this case, Firebase allows for it. Now, along with this is the OpenVino. So OpenVino is basically the open source toolkit that we use for optimizing and deploying deep learning. So when the data comes in, even though you have built the algorithms and you have trained all the models, it has to think, it has to make decisions. So OpenVino allows that because it allows for three things in disaster management. This open source toolkit allows for the DL, deep learning in vision, in audio, and in language. The three main sensings. Yeah. So vision, audio, and language. And that is very important because the entire system that we have designed allows for three things to be applied. Now, the next one is the YOLO version 8. So the YOLO version 8 is the computer vision model that we have used. It's actually designed by Ultra Analytics. Yeah, it actually allows us to do object detection and then classification and then segmentation. So these are three things which are important. It is integrated to a system architecture that you design yourself. So that system architecture is very important because it will help you with your convolutional blocks in neural networks, which is all AI. Yeah. So this is important. And then lastly, of course, we use Flutter. I think a lot of you all know Flutter. Flutter is for one of the easiest open source tools to develop mobile apps. So this must be mobile friendly. So our disaster management system is mobile friendly. Flutter is UI based, and Flutter allows for quick designs for Android and iOS because of the two different operating systems. So this whole full ecosystem is based on the architecture, which is basically on that diagram which you see. And we've done it, it's an AI-based disaster management system. And this is how the app looks like on your phone. I think because if it's not running on my PC, the videos don't run, I think. So it is automated using AI identification. The app also alerts users to evacuate and in real time evacuate to the nearest point of evacuation. So the usual evacuation points are a school or a masjid. So in real time, it tells you if you are moving too late, don't go to that masjid, go to a different masjid, right? Actually, this part of the tool was developed in 2016. We call it ASR, which is Alert and Rescue. So now it's got further AI enhancement. I think this will not work. Okay, it's working. What you're saying here is actually I have quit the entire district of 50 kilometers. I've taken one part of the district. And that entire building location is actually been twinned. You're not seeing it as you seem to see it as a real image, a video that's been recorded. Actually, no. We have taken the image, we have twinned the image for a thunderstorm scenario. Because this kind of rain does not happen in Malaysia actually. And at the bottom, you will see the bottom left, you will see the visualization in terms of how we do the mapping in terms of the 50-kilometer radius of the district. So where the hotspots, where the high dense population are, where the lighting, where is the dark area, where is the correlation to rapid transportation and things like that. And then we predict the simulated weather conditions. You can see left and right of the center block, and we can then do the deployment. And lastly is actually the personal assistant, yeah, which is Jarvis basically, yeah. And how Jarvis is actually reading all the data, which is real time, and then making a decision on the deployment of the actions. Right. So we can do survival marking. We can do payload delivery in terms of emergency medical supplies, and we can do segmentation of post flood or post fire rubbish plastics which have been collected in pools. Yeah, and that's very important. I think this is another video of the drone. Drones are not new. They have been around, and a lot of people are using drones. But you see what we are using our drones for. So now we have tied in, but we've not got permission yet from the government. We tied in the image of a person to the national ID records, so that once the door, I'm still opening the door for that. Once the door is open, I can then give an alert to the nearest loved one to tell them that that individual or that person is stuck in a flood or fire. I'm only doing flood and fire because in Malaysia that's most prominent two disasters. And this was the recent flood. So we got some data and we actually deployed the tool in a simulated manner. So that's the screen where we captured, and then on the back end, it's running for identification down here. So climate change is very impactful because recently, 2 weeks ago, we had a flood in Malaysia. It was in East Malaysia, in the island of Borneo. They never had floods before since existence. So when they had a flood, they did not know how to manage it. This is the overall system architecture, in addition to the one I showed you earlier, on how the 3D digital twin works in terms of deployment, relief, evacuation messages, then the monitoring of waste collection or waste pooling, and also getting real-time data in terms of weather and data. In terms of hardware and architecture, this is the entire block diagram in terms of what the hardware is used. So we use drones. We build our own drones. We don't buy drones. We 3D print. And I was quite excited to see 3D printing earlier in the labs. We 3D print our drones. We only buy the brushless motors. That's it. All the controls, all the programming done by ourselves. We actually have done many already. There are three major ones which are now out there being deployed. What's important in the drone design is, of course, the lift, yeah? The track, the thrust, also the weight of the, 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 the drone itself. The larger it is, the heavier it is, of course. We have done 10 kg payload drones. We also have to ensure there's stability. So drones can't fly in thunderstorm, but it is after the rain subsides. Yeah, so that's also measured. But also the wind effects for certain mountainous areas, because we also use drones for land GIS mappings. Yeah. But what's very important is we have done a full design. Even the electronic speed controllers are built in house. Of course, we don't develop batteries, so batteries are also taken aboard. But drones have one challenge. It is the flight time. So right now we have done 40 minutes. Another thing in climate change that we're doing is we're using our drones to measure CO2 in the air. Okay. All right. So that is how the impacts that AI can be used for climate change resilience. I showed you so many different industries, and then I showed you some examples within those industries that I have played a role in. But most importantly, the current one, which is now a complete deployed solution, which is the disaster management system using AI. Yeah. So I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, please do ask.
Sir, how do you think we as engineering graduates can be part of such meaningful projects?
I think you should start with the design thinking and the thought process right now. Uh, everyone has been uh, engaged with or faced with a problem or a challenge. It can start at home. It can start with what you see in the news, and use that as an inspiration to your thought process in developing a solution. Since I'm saying most of you all are engineers, right? Because I'm an engineer too. There is no better person in this world, discipline-wise and professionally wise, than to drive a solution uh, like engineers. I'm in my position today because I'm an engineer. Why my CEO likes me is because I'm an engineer, because I get the solution out. I do it fast, I go through a thinking process. Yeah, I go through the entire design thinking process. I plan, I strategize, I discuss in a team, and I execute. So for you to start, you should start now thinking of going through the thought process of a problem that you see or face. If you face, even better. Then it becomes an inspiration towards you working towards a solution. Because if you wait for your final year, then almost all of you all are going to be doing the same projects. What makes you a different person to the person next to you? That differentiator will come from the thought process.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do we prevent such a situation where advanced countries benefit the most from AI-driven climate solutions, while the developing countries who often face the worst climate impacts are left behind due to lack of resources?
I think because, but even if you say that in the developing countries, it is the ex third world country person who's sitting in a developing country that is actually developing these solutions. But for me to give you an answer, it's nothing like a homegrown product. You helping yourself, helping the nation. I think nothing beats that. The you cannot run away from the third party first world nation in terms of some of the products which are out there. You can utilize them. You can integrate them into your solution. But again, I go back to the thought process. The thought process is you because you are facing it. You are here. Being on the ground, you know the hardship, you know the challenges that requires a solution. I've been asked, I'm going to add to that. I've been asked by a university in Amsterdam to come up with case studies. They call it case studies from South Asia and beyond. For them to deploy AI as a final year project, can you imagine that? Which means they got no use for AI. They know the use cases are going to come from this part of the world. So I gave them 12 use cases from 12 different industries. And they were very much happy because they got no use case. But actually they have, they're just not thinking about it. They have heat waves, they have very cold winters. They're not thinking about it because it's still, I think, durable for them. No answer. Any more questions?
Hello, sir.
Okay, fine.
So, what do you think about the ethical concerns of AI in climate decision making?
Right.
Like security and data about.
Okay, so that's a very good question because I did mention the security on a lot of real-time data which is being taken. And I can tell you from a perspective of, we have now developed the disaster management system, right? And I'm integrating the image of a person who is stuck in a flood to find out who the person is. I can only find out who the person is if I've given access to the national ID records. So I won't know who the person is. I have no time to go and find 34 million populations and get their image recognized. That is very dangerous because once I get that ID access, as a startup within the university, we have now access to 34 million people's ID, which is their facial ID and their national data in terms of family data, their census data, and that has to be secure. So I think that is one challenge which is true in terms of the cyber security effect of it. Yeah, so it's correct. Yeah, there is the ethical approach. Is the clap there? I hope so. So I hope you enjoyed it. My last advice to the majority of you, which are students, yeah. I've always been proud to be an engineer. Nothing beats being an engineer. I don't want to be a lawyer and talk rubbish. Yeah. I don't want to be a computer scientist and sit behind a desk, a laptop. The engineers are the ones that will always develop solutions, build new products. They are the ones which are number one to go to when uh, people want to strategize, people want to develop something quick and efficient. And you see many leaders of organization who are actually advanced. Yeah. So be proud to be an engineer. Maybe yeah. And I hope one day you, when you graduate, you get to serve the community and the nation. Thank you.
As we approach the conclusion of this session, I would like to invite Mr. Hassan Nadeeruddin Ansari, Vice Chair of International Strategy Board at IMechE, to share his closing remarks. Please